Hey guys, what's up? We are back with another video today, and today we are doing our 2023 Georgia Tech prediction video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We are 2 subscribers away of this recording, 2 away from 1,000. So hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. And if we have, by the time you're watching, help me reach my goal of getting more and more. Check out the rest of the college football predictions. The link will be up in the cards up below, or they will be in the description as well. So make sure that you check out that as well. Then also make sure you check out the website, the podcast, the Patreon page, as well as my new football channel, College Football Roundup, where me and American Football Network talk some football. So go ahead and check out that channel. Some videos will exclusively be on that channel. So make sure that you subscribe to there as well. So let's get started with today's video by making our way over to the Georgia Tech schedule. Excuse me. So Georgia Tech is in an interesting spot. You did not get Willie Fritz as your head coach last year. So you are stuck with Brent Key. And by no means do I think Brent is a terrible or bad head coach. I think that he did good with what he did last year. He went 4-4. So overall, I think he played well. Obviously, he had a couple of games in which it kind of faltered, but the Georgia loss was respectable, getting wins against North Carolina, getting a win against Virginia Tech, getting a win against Duke and Pitt. I think that is a good overall start. So let's make our way over to the schedule, like I said. First game of the season is against Louisville, and this is a big test. This is a game in which you will be playing at home. You'll be playing against a team that has a new head coach as well, a team with a new quarterback, same as you do, in Haynes King. I think that you have a lot to work on, and I think with this, Georgia Tech, you just lose so much. You only bring back 5 offensive starters and 7 defensive starters. And I think that you have a lot to work on with this team. But as we go towards this game, I think what it comes down to is that it's home field advantage for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. So I'm going to give the win to the Yellow Jackets, or I'm sorry, to the Cardinals. I think even though that this game, you get it close, and that you just make it where it is going to be a tough and difficult game. I think finally it comes down to the fact that I think Louisville's players are just in a better spot than where Georgia Tech is. Even though I like Brent Pry, I think Jeff Brom is a better head coach than Brent overall. Excuse me. Then you have South Carolina State, and I misspoke earlier. I did not have you win the Louisville game. I have you winning the SC State game. This should be an easy win. South Carolina State, they lose a lot of their key players as well. I don't know too much about South Carolina State football, but I do know that they've lost a couple of key players in the past couple of years, and they have yet to replace them. So they're going to have a lot of work to do. And I think that starts with the higher this game. It's not going to be an easy one, or not going to be an easy one for SC State. So I think the Yellow Jackets get an easy win here. Then you have 2 tough road games. First one against Ole Miss, and sorry, but there's just no way that you win this game. I think Ole Miss offensively will be just too powerful for you. And I don't particularly love Haynes King. I don't think he is the worst in the world. But overall, I think that you have a lot of work to do if you're going to have Haynes King as your quarterback and you're going to get a lot of wins. I think that there's a lot of work to do. So then you have Georgia Tech coming to town. I think that this is also a loss. Dave Clawson, you do lose a lot if you are Georgia Tech. There is that. You do lose your starter and Sam Hartman to Notre Dame. You lose a lot of different pieces. I'm trying to remember who their starting quarterback is. Their starting quarterback is what's his name? Mitch Griffers. So I think I'm saying that name right. Yeah. But this is definitely, it's a Wake Forest team. It's not the best Wake Forest team that Dave Clawson has had. as his time there at Wake Forest. But I think overall, I think he will definitely have a good team. And I think overall, I'm going to have to give the win here to Wake Forest. Then you have Bowling Green coming to town. You should get a win here. Bowling Green, not that great of a team, has a lot of work to do, and I think is going to have a lot of issues on that defensive end. So you should be able to get a lot of points on the board if you are Georgia Tech. Excuse me. Then you have a road game against Miami, and then I think that this is going to be a pretty bad and embarrassing game. I don't like Georgia Tech's chances here. I do think that Georgia Tech and Brent Key, I like what Brent Key did in his 8 games there last year. He went 4-4 with a Georgia Tech team that had a lot of issues. But this Georgia Tech team, you don't have Jeff Sims anymore. He went to Nebraska. So you're in a difficult spot is what I'm trying to say, I guess. And if you're going to get out of that difficult spot, I don't think the team to do it against is Miami. I think these 3 road games that you have against Ole Miss, Wake Forest, and Miami at the beginning of the year are really difficult matchups, especially for early on in the year. I think that they're going to be tough matchups where road games, they're just not going to be easy. Then you have a home game against Boston College. I'm going to give you the W there. I think that this is a pretty easy win. I think Hafley has his crew really going down in the dumpster, and I think that Brent Key he showed a good bit. We'll see whether he can be a full-time head coach. Like, I really do like what Key did last year, but I keep going back to the fact that this is going to be a full season, his full team, somewhat like it's still his Jeff Collins' recruits, but Key was on the staff, so it's not like he didn't have any say in who the recruits were in the first place, at least for some part. But I think overall you definitely have a lot of work to do. But I don't think that a game in which you'll lose is the Boston College one. I think overall you're in a good spot with BC. Then you have the North Carolina game. I think you lose this game here. I think offensively you just have too much firepower. I think that it's going to be a win for the Tar Heels. They just, with Drake May and the offensive weapons that you have, it is just going to be too much for this Georgia Tech team. I like Georgia Tech, but if they're going to win games, you can't have them be 45, 44 or stuff like that. You just can't. It can't be that high scoring if you're going to get a win there overall. Then you have a road game against Virginia Tech last year. This was a terrible game in which you lost 9-16. It was really the difference between you making a bowl game or not. It was just a terrible game, from Georgia Tech. But this year, I do think you beat Tony Elliott. I think that Tony Elliott, once again, like Jeff Hafley, I just don't think he has the program in a good position. He doesn't have Brennan Armstrong anymore. And even though he ran Brennan Armstrong into the ground, I do think it's going to be a loss there for the Cavaliers and a dub for the Yellow Jackets. Then you have a road game against Clemson. I'm sorry, but there's no shot that you win this game. With Jeff Sims, you can only put up 10 points on the board. And that game last year at the very beginning of the season, it wasn't a bad spot for Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech did kind of keep it close, and it was really kind of turnovers, penalties, and just a lack and mismanagement of play that really stopped Georgia Tech from really being able to have a chance in that game. Then you have a home game against Syracuse. I think because this is a home game, I'm going to give the edge to the Yellow Jackets. I think if this was a road game, I'd probably give the edge to Syracuse. But with this being a home game, I'm going to give the edge to your Yellow Jackets. I think that Syracuse and Dino Babers, they have a lot of work to do. I think Garrett Trader's a good quarterback, but last year that team got so banged up at the very end of the year with winning their first 5 games and only winning the 6th one in the final game of the season against a terrible BC team. You got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a tough environment in order to go in and play, and I think that you're going to be able to get the W there. Speaking of tough teams to play, Georgia at the end of the year, that's a tough team. That's going to be a loss. Finishing the year with 5-7 record. So, like I said, Georgia is a tough team. I think Georgia Tech fans know all too well that Georgia is not a team that is very easy to beat. I can't even remember the last time that you were able to get a W over Georgia. If you could remind me, when was the last time that you guys were able to get a W over Georgia? I think it was in like 2016 or 2015, but you can leave your comments down in the description. As always, make sure you hit the 2 videos down below. It'll be a playlist of all of my college football previews, and hit the subscribe button up here. Two away, guys. Help me hit that goal. And like I said, as always, have a great day. Bye, guys.